back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Michael Stephenson.
Hi, everybody.
And just last time we reviewed Raiders of the Lost Ark, so we're going to continue with this one by reviewing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Doom, 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 doom.
As we've said before, that we normally do fantasy, horror and sci-fi, but if we do get a good movie that we like and think it's really good to review, we'll throw them as well. And one of the main reasons is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are involved in this, the same as in Star Wars. So why not? They make a good pair and they make a damn fine movie.
And what did you say to me about dear old George and dear old Steven when they were making this one?
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not sure, but I've gleaned information saying they were both going through relationship difficulties. I think they've broken off with their partners, girlfriends, whatever, about the time of the making of this and one of the, I think the second Star Wars movie. So it's come over a tad darker than they'd normally make it. So, but I think it works, this movie, because it is an action-adventure movie, but obviously they throw a lot of fantasy and other fictional stuff in there as well. So it's a borderline fringe sort of stuff, and yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's really good. And
and this is why I'm reviewing the Indiana Jones franchise, because they have a mixture of fantasy and history in it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing
actually,
this.
we spoke about this earlier the other day. See, the first movie was based on the Ark of the Covenant, which was in the Jewish and Christian Bible. This one is based on the Thuggee cult in India, which is real. The next movie was the Last Crusade, based on looking for the Holy Grail, which is supposed to be another religious artifact. Get on to the fourth movie, The Crystal Skull. We won't necessarily review that one, because I don't want to, because it doesn't actually fit into what do you call it, the grand scheme of things. But we'll probably, she's giving me a funny look, so we'll probably do number 4 as well. But it doesn't fit in the same sort of theme. It's a fictional
only to
one.
please the masses out there, guys.
Yeah, but it was proven to be the crystal skulls were fake. All the other stuff is religious history.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're moving ahead of ourselves, so
Okay.
let's just focus on our second installment in Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom.
Yay! And guess
Yes.
who's playing the lead role?
Jeez.
Harrison Ford. Jeez.
Jeez.
Surprise.
Who else other than
Ah, well, now there's a lady called Kate Capshaw. She plays the leading lady, Willie Scott.
a.k.a. Mrs. Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, she. Hey, well, the director can be in love with his leading lady. Hey,
Most likely.
Other guys, but
And
he married this one.
True.
More partnered or something.
He was previously married, probably 2 years before he did Temple of Doom, and I guess he fell in love with dear Kate.
Now, but there's a little. What do you call him? A co-star?
I don't know.
Little short round.
Little short round.
Now, short round. Now, a guy called Jonathan Key Kwan is short round. Now, he was in The Goonies.
Yes.
He played the little Asian guy in their group.
Yeah.
And he's in this movie. So
Yeah.
they'd been done about the same time because he's about the same age.
Yeah, and another thing is, this one, The Goonies, was also made by dear old George Lucas and his crowd.
Was Steven involved in that one?
I'm not sure. I might have to look that up again,
The
guys.
Goonies might have been falling in that category too, because I mean, a nice collaboration again.
Yeah, maybe. He may be contracted to them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he played for a kid. He plays a damn fine role. He
I
does,
even
yeah.
found out when I was reviewing his taking part in it, is when he was auditioning, his brother was also auditioning, and I guess Stephen asked him, would you like to do a bit of an audition too? So he did, and he won the approval of the director.
Well, there you go.
Or
then.
the casting director, whoever is doing the casting.
Actually, I don't know what bugged me. I mean, so, do you actually have a casting director apart from the director? Do you? I don't know.
I don't know how it works in profession.
You would get somebody else to do it. I mean, if you've got a lot of things happening, obviously you delegate jobs to other people. So probably have a casting director and the main director, and you have a second unit director. So you probably
and director of photography. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, of course, he can't forget director of photography.
Yes, I sure don't.
Actually, I Sarah did a movie. I was part of it, sort of, last year, and our director of photography was so good. He was like another director,
Yeah.
and he's a very creative man. So,
Yeah, well, he was an inspiration to me.
he was. Yeah, he had this feel. He knew what he wanted to see. I won't say on film because it's not film nowadays, but he knew what he wanted to capture in a scene, knowing what the script was and everything. So yeah, it's very hard sometimes to be on the same page. But again, George Lucas wrote the story. They got some screenwriters to make the script, and Spielberg did the Spielberg magic.
Yeah, so let's dive into this film as we always do.
Take it away, Sarah.
So it begins with Indy, who's in Shanghai, I think it was.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. This is based in 1935, which is sort of like a prequel to The Raiders of the Lost Ark, because this is before then, even though it was a second movie. But
Yeah, well,
yeah, they want to get away from the Nazi theme in it, so they actually brought it sent it back a couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad that Raiders started off first and then worked our way into Temple of Doom, because no doubt Temple of Doom did do well in box office altogether, but I think I liked Raiders a lot when they started that one first.
Exactly.
Yeah, so anyway, our story begins in she's meeting a mob gangster who owns a nightclub called, wait for it, Obi-Wan Cafe.
Gee, I wonder where they got that name from, he said knowingly. Yeah.
Oh,
The Obi-Wan. Considering they were both involved in the other movie, which we're not reviewing tonight.
Not like that. So anyway, he goes there. He's there to exchange a certain artifact to a mob boss in return for
What was it? Was it the guts or what was it?
the ashes of
The ashes,
the and one of the emperors.
One of the emperors. They had a little jar with his ashes in it, and the deal was Indiana Jones would give these Asian guys, these Chinese guys, this, and they would give him
the eye of the peacock,
which is a nice big diamond,
Yes.
almost the size of a golf ball. Really
Yes,
nice, folks.
and
Really,
I did some reading and research on my own, and found out the diamond of the peacock is actually once belonged to Alexander the Great, and this was
there you go
and this knowledge came from Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and he went in search of it back then, and
No, it's a real artifact, is it?
no, well,
well-
for the movie it is.
But they took the same theme into a Young Indiana Jones Chronicle.
Yeah,
Okay.
and much later in the story, I understand that years later, probably after this movie, he gets wind of
He's got
Short
wind?
Round,
Oh, no.
Short Round, and he explains that somehow the diamond is taken someplace else. But I won't go into that one just yet. So
Well, yeah, let's review the movie in hand.
so
hey?
Indy tries to exchange the ashes for the diamond. At first, they give him a lot of golden coins.
He said, no, that wasn't the deal. The golden coins were obviously artifacts as well, but that wasn't the deal.
True.
Yeah.
But he didn't want those. And anyway, this is at this time in the scene. He also meets the gangster's girlfriend, I think,
Yeah.
Willie
Who's
Scott.
the singer in his nightclub.
Yes.
And she's not bad. Actually, the movie opens with her doing I think a Busby Berkeley number. Anything goes, is it?
Yeah, anything goes. That was a
And
good number.
She does it quite well. She's doing the singing, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and so anyway, in this, I think there was when they were auditioning for her role, I think I heard that that I think Steven Spielberg wanted something different. He wanted some similar role, female lead, to look act all aggressive with Indy, like act all nasty all the time with him, but he wanted to make a slight change by making sure that she dyes her hair a different color. See, Kate had her hair brown.
Be a brunette, yeah.
And so she changed it to a blonde curly hair.
And she plays a really good. No offense to any blonde females there, but she comes over as a dumb blonde in some ways. Yeah, really weird. But it makes her funnier. So maybe it was just written that way for the script.
Yeah, I also found out. Let me see here, that the costume designer Anthony.
What's that? Powell.
Yeah. He wanted the character to have red hair.
So possibly the colour of the garments was suited more for a redhead. Yeah. But redhead and blonde, you get away with it probably.
Yeah, but I think
it looked okay to me.
I think I also often point out that I think blonde can really bring out the colour a little bit too.
Yeah, but anyway.
In any costume.
If she had a nice Albany sort of gingery sort of, red henna rinse, whatever, she might have set off the dress a little bit better, but who cares? It's not about the dress, it's about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and not to mention, with the actress, I don't think red hair would best suit her face much.
Yeah, it doesn't always suit people. Actually, when I think of somebody with gingery hair or whatever, I think of green eyes as well and that sort of stuff, and she didn't have green eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, our hero, he tries to haggle with these guys.
And anyway, irrespective.
And he does get eventually the diamond, and in return, these guys get the ashes, and they in turn give Indy a bad turn by giving him some poison in a drink.
And he said, "Okay, if you want to survive, give us a diamond back, and we'll give you the antidote."
Ooh.
You mongrels.
You total.
Anyway, there's a big battle and a fight scene.
Yeah, and I think there's a scene we were discussing earlier with the big.
I was going to say there's a big fight scene in the cafe, restaurant, whatever. And anyway, there's this big round shield type thing hanging up the wall, and that Indiana is being shot at, and he cuts the ropes on it. A big symbol, yes, yeah. Like a gong. Anyway, he cuts the ropes on it, and he rolls it towards the window, and he runs behind it with Willie, and they jump out the window, and we meet up short round it. But anyway, that scene was supposed to be in the first movie, which is The Raiders of the Lost Ark, but they thought, well, we won't use it in that movie, we'll save it for a trick in another movie, which happened to be the second movie.
Yes, so they jump out the window and they fall a few floors down.
Oh, they bounced off the moorings, folks. Yes. They didn't go straight down to the concrete.
No. And they soon landed right inside the car.
We're short round. How old are you? 10?
He could have been 10 or 9. 12, I'm not sure.
Yeah, short round. I mean, if you don't know him, he's a short guy, short round, about 10, 11, maybe, I would say he's even 12. And he is really, really short. He's got little blocks of wood in his feet so he can drive the car and stuff. Yeah, things. And he's quite funny all the way through the movie. He's a good little actor. I mean, I don't know what's happened to him since. But anyway, he picks Indiana Jones up and Willie, and there's a chase through the streets. They're shooting everybody, and they get away, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But guess where they end up picking what transport they end up riding on?
They end up at the airport, and they jump an airplane, and the airplane actually belongs to a group owned by the mobster guy at the restaurant or cafe.
And they get the final laugh.
Yeah, so they take off. They're flying over the border area between India and China.
Tibet, maybe?
Tibet, whatever, that area. India. I think it's India because he said we're in India.
Yeah, I think that China is...
Yeah, but you got China, Tibet, India, but it's the Indian part of it.
Yeah.
And anyway, they're out the mountains there, and the guys flying the airplane, the pilot, the navigator, co-pilot, whatever, dump the fuel, and they jump out using their parachutes. And they don't leave any parachutes for the passengers.
Yeah, and this is where my favorite part in this movie is when they, instead of seeing as she wakes up Indy, of course, and Indy is told, guess what, there's no one flying the plane anymore. And he says, and she says, do you know how to fly, don't you? And he says, gives her a look saying, no, do you?
Do you?
like.
So they end up saving themselves by they actually jump out of the plane with a life raft, which they inflate as they jump out of the plane. Now they actually they jump into the life raft, and the surface area of the life raft is slowing down their fall.
Yeah, handy.
Supposedly, and they hit the snow on the slope, and then it starts slowing down. Whatever. Now, before I go into any further, I don't know. That might be possible because that's having that be like having what do you call like hang gliding.
Yeah.
So it might actually slow them down. So that might be possible if you're really, really, really lucky.
Yeah, it is a good point, and depending on how far you're up you are, obviously.
Well, it'll still break your fall, and that's the whole point. It landed on snow, didn't it? They didn't land on a piece of concrete or a rock or something. They landed on snow, which is soft. So
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe.
they soon arrive on went down the slope and
End up in the river.
and end up in the river, and which is kind of a relief, a bit of a relief. They did take the got that life, you know.
If they end up in the river, they would have drowned otherwise.
Yes.
If they dumped out about the life raft, there would have been just red spots on the snow.
True.
So,
But it's a double good thing that they did.
yeah, but anyway, they're down the river, they go for some rapids and whatever, and they come to a quiet part there, and they look up,
And
there's an Indian guy there,
yeah,
an old guy, and I
yeah.
think he's the leader of the village.
Yeah, and he takes them over to his village, and it's very decayed and very ick
Just
and
an
very
old Indian
sad.
village, yeah.
And it does make me a little sad that there's so many countries out there that desperately need help
Anyway,
sometimes.
these people, they had a sacred stone in a shrine which was stolen.
Yeah.
When it was taken, the crops started to die, the cattle died, and someone stole all the children. That becomes the basis of the story.
Yeah, and these people think these guys are a godsend from their sacred god.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Sheba, right?
Shiva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They came from the sky. Sheba sent you. No, we fell out of an airplane, crashed. Yeah, Sheba crashed the airplane so you can come here. Yeah, well, how can you argue with that logic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he can't argue with it.
Yeah, rain fell from the sky. Where did the rain come from? It was actually
true.
in the rivers and the ocean first and evaporated. No, it came from the sky.
Yes, and anyway, he soon discovers that the stone is one of the Shikara.
Shikara, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anyway,
stones.
there was a set of 5 stones.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of these stones, well, each of the stones is able to give you probably make the everything look
Well, yeah,
give
the owners.
give them fortune and glory.
Yeah,
if
whatever.
that's the
Yeah,
word
whatever.
for it.
Like, yeah, because that's why the village was prosperous and had crops, and the cattle were.
And everyone was happy.
Yeah, the cattle were growing. Breeding okay.
And there was water, obviously.
Yeah, all the good things. And so you take the stone away, everything changed. So whoever possessed the 5 stones.
Yeah.
Would be very powerful,
Yeah.
and the people who were stealing the stones or whatever were thuggies, an
Yes.
old Indian cult, and
Yeah.
they wanted to dominate the world,
Yeah.
as they always want to.
Yes. So anyway, it's up to Indy, Short Round,
And
Willie
Willie.
to go to the the palace,
Called Bangkok Palace.
Bangkok Palace, to get and find the stones.
Yeah. Now that palace used to be abandoned, but there's a new Raja in there. A young fellow, about 14,
I
15.
don't know what age
Yeah,
range.
little young Indian guy, and
Yeah.
he comes over like a normal kid. He's a Raja. Anyway.
Yeah, well. So
but
anyway.
underneath the palace is another story.
Yes. So the explorers get onto the elephants and they head off down to the palace. And of course, as usual, Willie is like not a barrel of laughs.
No,
Oh yeah, well actually that's a
well,
lie.
few,
She
but
is a barrel
she's-
of laughs, but
Yeah, they had a few problems on the way. He doesn't like elephants, doesn't like the bush, doesn't like this, doesn't like that.
well, it's the jungle, not the bush.
Oh,
That's
same thing, okay. The jungle, okay. Ooh, savanna woodland. Ooh,
Yes.
doesn't like the bush. Okay?
so she doesn't like it, but that doesn't get well, it gives Indy a bit of a headache, I imagine.
Anyway, let's roll on. We want the main parts actually.
Yes, so they soon arrive at the palace, or some close to the palace, and they see a few, some nasty statues there. that look.
Scary ones, folks.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
there was some red paint on them,
Yeah,
but I suspect
it's
they're.
supposed to be blood.
I think they're it's blood. You
Yeah.
know, probably from
They did the paint box out of it. I think it was blood.
I
Yeah,
think
it
it
was
is blood
sacrifice,
too.
yeah.
So it kind of grossed me out too.
Oh, and lots of bats too, guys. Ooh, big giant vampire bats.
Yes.
I thought blood your blood. No,
Don't go there.
No, okay.
So their guides end up ditching them because they're too scared to go any further.
Yeah, the Indian guys run away, their guides. Yeah, they take the elephants away, and
Yeah.
that's how they got to hoof it, you know.
Yeah. So they soon arrive at the palace, and the host is very generous to them, and offers them a place for the night, all that
Even
stuff.
the Prime Minister, was he? Oh, no, Prime Minister, maybe?
Well,
he has a hierarchy.
Yeah, so he invites them in. They're well received. Willie gets a nice outfit to
And she
wear
looks
to
really good.
to dinner and everything. And
The Indian gear suit there.
yeah, and of course, Indy intentionally just discusses what's been going on and what's in the past tense.
In these nice subtle way and annoying everybody.
Yes, well, annoying the hierarchy guy.
Yeah, the Raja's assistant.
And of course, Willie is disappointed that the Raja is a 13-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
Willie was thinking, hey, the Raja's looking for a wife. Maybe I could become Mrs. Raja.
Mm.
But he found out he was a kid.
Yeah, and I like this quote.
Short Round
says, maybe he likes older women.
Yeah.
Oh man, that does.
There's really little funny quips coming out of different places. Willie, Short Round. Not so much Indiana Jones, but the other ones. A couple of little bits here and there, mate.
Yeah.
Break the tension and stuff.
The food really does give me a bit of a nauseous
the
stomach
banquet, the
ache.
food, yeah. What do you like the best? The snake surprise or the chilled monkey brains?
The chill monkey brains were the best kick.
Yeah, they had like a cup with monkey head on it, and you take the top of the monkey head off, and it's got this stuff that looks like red jelly, and it's chilled monkey brains. Now, if I understand that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg at that time were just like two large kids, and they hadn't actually grown up properly, so they thought, how can we gross people out? And they got this, they chilled monkey brains, had snake surprise, when you cut the snake open, on the table, mind you,
and you have
these
little
live
baby
wiggly
snakes.
creatures, little snakes and stuff, and you pick up and you eat them live.
Yuck.
And what about the bugs? They look so nice and tasty.
I wonder what's
Yeah.
inside them. I mean,
Bug guts.
it looks like there was something inside them to give the crew cast to eat them. I mean, maybe there's some chicken, maybe some real meat
I
in
don't
them.
know. I'd hate to guess what Stephen and George got up to on that bit.
Yeah, well, I do like to imagine like that they may have put real food
And then
inside.
Willie wouldn't eat anything. He says, "Do you need something simple like soup?"
And
And
you
they bring a nice tureen out to her. It's, oh, yummy. And she's going, her eyes light up. And she takes the lid off. And it's red stuff. She stirs it. And all these eyeballs are popping around.
I'm
it.
amazed Indy doesn't even eat the food. I thought of.
Well, he's probably used to eating funny cuisine.
Yeah, but not that's funny. I went to India. I mean, I didn't.
Well, you haven't been to India.
Well,
I've been to
I have
Egypt,
been
Jordan,
to
Israel,
Indian. I have
Italy,
eaten
Greece,
India food, and not bragging or anything, but I have experienced Indian culture from my teacher who taught us about Indian culture, and
I like Indian culture
and-
for the food.
and they showed us. She showed us a lot of what people wore, and she showed me a sari one time, and to explain to me about the symbolism with the dots that
What's
women
the
wear.
dot mean? Is it a target to shoot them or what?
It means a married woman.
Okay, so right. Get back to the food. Hey guys, cheese and garlic naan bread. If you haven't had it, try it. Yeah, with a side, have some buttered chicken with it, or a nice
yum.
mild curry.
Yeah, I think
cheese
butter.
garlic.
I mean, the cheese and garlic
Garlic.
naan bread is my favorite.
Oh yeah, it tastes really
Oh,
good.
yum.
It certainly rivals ordinary garlic bread you get in the other restaurants. It's really good.
Yes, so
Anyway, get away from the food.
getting away from the food. I don't want to make you drool.
I'm hungry already. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, and so soon enough they turn in, and we get a bit of well, Indian and Willie were about to maybe try to work out who's going to dive in first with whoever's going to be interested in whatever.
There was a bit of sexual tension building up here, folks. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, and
why not?
they kept saying that in 5 minutes you will be
You'll
running
be back in my room.
You'll
You'll
be
be
back.
coming. You'll be begging for it. Yeah.
Yeah, each one of them was like checking their clock and saying 5 minutes, and he says 4.5.
Yeah,
I thought
and
that was cool.
maybe they'll think, they're getting ready, they're grooming themselves, taking the breath, like all the things you normally do before you do the act.
Hey, did you ever do that?
What's that?
Have you ever done that?
Well,
You know, check your breath to make sure your
well,
breath
I'm out
doesn't.
for girl. Well, when I was young, it's a long time now. But when I was young and out for girl, I'd make sure I'd have a packet of a packet of Tic Tacs or something like back. There was a bit of chewing gum back in those days, and have a bit of a chew, freshen the breath before I started romancing the young lady. But now I'm at home, my wife, I brush my teeth.
Yes. So anyway,
With toothpaste, folks.
before Indy gets the attempt to jump at the opportunity, he gets attacked by someone other than Willie.
Yeah, one of the thuggy guys trying to get him away because Indiana seems to know more than he should.
Yes, and he starts attacking, and Indy gets the upper hand, and soon enough he's hanging by the fan.
Yeah. Was he a real fan of his? Anyway, he kills a guy and goes running into Willie's room, and she thinks, oh, he's here for some sex. No, he's not. He's looking for a way out.
Yeah.
Or no, initially he's checking to see if she's safe, make sure there's nobody in her room, and then he realises there's a breeze coming through the wall, and it's just near the fireplace or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fireplace? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he pushes on his figurine.
Yeah,
most
a woman figurine, just so you know, guys.
Yeah, in the hands of most opportune place. Anyway, and he pushes that, and that opens up into a corridor to take him down below the palace. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, and he discovers on one of the walls the same symbols that were
The
subscribed
thuggies, yeah.
on a small
Piece of paper.
material.
Yeah, been given earlier.
Yeah.
But anyway, he found there is thuggy stuff going on here.
Yes. So
Anyway.
So, Indy orders Short Round to get his gear
gear.
together, and so they can go and explore the thug.
And possibly get away.
Yes. Yes.
Nah.
And this is where it gets really funny and interesting, where Indy says, "Step where I step, don't touch anything, Short Round."
Yes.
And of course, Short Round does end up touching something or even stepping on something, and
Well, they go in this little room, and he walks, sitting there without looking, and he puts his foot on a button on the floor, pushes it down, and that locks him in this room.
yes, and it gets and while Indy's examining the room,
He says,
he asks,
go and stand against the wall, don't touch anything. And he walks backwards, and he pushes
Onto
against
this
a rock,
rock.
hanging out of the wall.
more like a brick that's
a brick, rock.
Anyway, the brick slowly gets pushed into the wall, and then the ceiling starts to coming down.
And then these little pointy spear things start coming out of the floor and out of the ceiling.
This is where
they were going to be shish kebab.
And this is this is when dear old Willie has to get up and try to save them, or at least.
And she has to go walking for all these bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that they actually put bugs on her and stuff and threw some at her and stuff, so they land on her and
Yeah.
And she was drugged. I heard tranquilizer drug, not drug, so to keep her calm while had all these bugs all over her.
Yeah.
Because otherwise she would have been freaking.
Yeah. So she's freaking out in this movie, in this scene, and she has to grab a lever that's lodged right into the inside a bug pit.
Yeah, and she put her hand. She opens it, pulls it, and pulls it backwards, and everything stops. The ceiling goes back up where it's supposed to be.
And the doors reopen.
And the doors open, and then she walks in there,
and she's worried about, get off me, get off me!
And then she pushes against the stone in the wall, and everything starts to happen again, and they just make that before they get locked in.
Yeah.
Huge.
And the interesting bit was when Indy tries to grab for his hat, like per usual.
As usual. One of these days, they get his arm ripped off doing that.
True.
Get another hat, honestly.
Well, and
But anyway, Anyway.
Anyway, here's the creepy bit or scenes where soon after they arrive in the thuggies' lair, and it's like looking at hell.
Yeah, good colour. Nice red lighting.
Yes, it was very creepy. I mean, there was even a very big, large pit, if you haven't seen the movie, that looks like it might lead to hell, or at least into a lava pit.
Another world.
Yes, and of course, there's large statues that hint of what these thuggies are for here for.
Thuggies. That's a strange
And
name,
of course,
isn't it?
they sacrifice a poor man who's freaking out, and
you don't know what his crime was, but they sacrificed him.
He probably had no crime. They just found a local and just killed him.
You'll do.
Yeah, and they put him inside this metal cage thing and
drop him down into this hot thing.
This
It looked like swirling lava or something. I don't know.
I always thought it was hell when I was little.
Yeah, it's really weird, but it looked really hot down there. Yeah, great for sausage sizzle or a barbecue or something. Hey,
Oh, think. I did thought that bit with the where I'm gonna say it because the bit where the horrible priest guy, he tries to get the guy's heart out, and it has always scared me as a child.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, they must have had something like I don't know what they would have been made out of. So he put his hand through the guy's chest, but it's something like something soft like marshmallow. But he put it in and took it out. But he took his heart out, and his chest resealed. But the guy was still alive. Now, honestly,
but the heart in his hand was still beating.
Yeah, the heart was beating his hand, but the guy was still. If someone ripped the heart out of my chest, I'm sure I wouldn't be looking at it.
Yes. Anyway, his remains then get cast down into the lava, burning and cindering, and
he didn't even become a crispy critter. There's nothing left.
Yeah, and the heart the priest had in his hand slowly begins to burn too. Yeah. Which could be another.
Why didn't he get burnt fingers?
Gosh knows. Maybe this is another bit of that unholy magic they were using.
Yeah, maybe.
Which makes a lot of sense why they're doing this.
Anyway, so that guy, and anyway, this is a bit of a ceremony. The ceremony finishes.
Yes,
and in the end, they see they had three of those
sacred stones
there as well as part of the ceremony.
Yes, and they are placed inside this interesting statue of a skull. And they all glow in a vibrant way.
Remember the Phantom?
Yes.
Didn't they have like three things had to come together in the Phantom movie?
Yeah, three skulls in that one.
Three skulls in the Billy Zane Phantom movie.
Yeah, that was nice.
Same sort of thing. Had to bring them together, and to bring them together gave you power.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, we'll do that one next.
Well, they stole the idea.
I don't know. Maybe
whatever.
It could have been. I'll have to look that up for next time.
Well, we don't necessarily have to do the Phantom. You said you don't like action hero type movies.
Hey,
the Marvel comic ones.
I like good ones.
Okay.
I just don't like it when they repeat it too often.
Like, you don't like Thor?
I like Thor. I just don't like
Wonder Woman?
I haven't seen her.
I have. She's nice.
Anyway,
Yummy.
Moving on.
Sorry.
Stop being a pain. So anyway, we see the thuggies slowly leave the room for gosh knows reason.
And Indiana goes to get the stones.
Yeah, which is a bit odd to me because why would they be leaving the room after we heard Willie scream earlier?
Well, maybe they didn't hear her. Or maybe they were all drugged out of the tiny little heads.
I don't know.
Does it really matter? They will finish their ceremony.
So anyway, Hindi goes down there after a bit of a brief scuffle with Willie, and
Did you scuffle?
Well, she keeps saying, "Down there, are you crazy?" And he says,
"I'm
not gonna leave here without those stones."
When he got down there, he got the stones, and you heard children in the background.
In pain and frightened.
Yeah, and so that.
And you remember his promise to collect the kids too.
If he could.
If he could.
Yeah.
And he goes off into the next room, and Willie says, "Where's he going?" And then the next minute, the thuggies appear, and they start attacking
Willie and Short Round. And the next scene, we see Short Round as being captured, not knowing where Willie was.
Yes.
Straight at that point in time. But more will be revealed in a minute.
Yeah. Indy sees the captive kids who are in a mine digging and plowing,
excavating. They're supposed to be
excavating
looking.
the
The stories there's supposed to be two. They got 3 stones. They've got from the local villages, but 2 other stones are supposedly hidden somewhere in this mine,
yes,
and they got those kids looking for them.
and I wouldn't be surprised that then that they will never find them.
Well, they may not be in there. Yeah.
Anyway, as we're saying, Indy, he gets he notices a boy getting beaten up and by a very big thuggy, and he decides to take action by throwing a stone at him to tell him to
And
cease.
guess what?
And he gets caught.
He gets caught. Bugger.
Yeah,
Surprise, surprise.
always a good Samaritan, but at the same time, bad timing.
Yeah. Act first, think later. Not always good move, Indy.
Yes, and soon enough, Indy and the thuggy priest guy tells him, "Guess what? We're gonna poison you and make you a believer too."
Yeah, make you one of us. One of the.
One
They're
of
almost.
us, one of us.
I think it's a drug which is like a permanent drug which changes them into almost like a zombie.
Yes, exactly. Like a lot
yeah.
like the zombies you may have heard in some cultures you may have heard about.
Haitian, yeah. Actually, that's interesting. In this movie, they're using voodoo dolls. I wonder if they're actually in Indian culture, because I've never heard of voodoo dolls in Indian culture.
I don't know. I mean,
I know it's in.
it is a common practice, but I'm not
depending
sure
what
how.
religion it is, what cult,
Yeah, and I don't know. Well, much about. I mean, I don't know how much how much history George and Stephen played with in the story.
That does look good.
And it looks interesting.
well.
So anyway,
Carry on.
so Indy is become an unwilling, obedient servant of theirs.
Member of the community.
Yes, and of course, Short Round is he's gone down into the mine
With their little kitties.
Yeah, and this scene.
Hey, does that make him a minor?
I'm not going to answer that one.
That's right.
So I found this much later on after I watched this movie, a while ago, and this is gives you a bit of a detail of what Short Round sees down there. See, well, Short Round was down in the mine. He sees a guard who somehow burns himself, but somehow kind of wakes up from a trance.
Yeah, this is out of the book.
Yes, in the book. And he then, and that guy gets dragged off and gets re-poisoned eventually. And this gives Short Round the idea that maybe if I get some fire in near Indy, he will probably snap out of being a servant to these creeps.
And that works in the later scene.
Yes. So meanwhile, all this while, Short Round is attempting his escape, dear old Willie is going to be a sacrifice. And it's not going to be good for her because she'll be seeing Indy and seeing that he's become one of them.
And he helps to seal the cage to send her down to her doom.
Yeah, so anyway, Short Round soon gets it loose. He runs, and while being chased by some of the thuggy guys, and he soon makes it out.
Yeah, and he makes his way to where Indiana is, where Willie is going to be sacrificed.
Yes.
And a little bit of a fight ensues there.
And Short Round takes a torch and starts burning a few people.
And he burns Indy, and he wakes up.
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
And as I said before, guys, this was never that scene I mentioned earlier in the book. It was never added, and I thought. Just like when I said about Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they had a scene that was never added to explain how you can to avoid staring into the Ark and then getting zapped by God. Yep. I mean, this is another one of those short stories that never give you an explanation of how to avoid a deep, dangerous fate.
Well, yeah, you don't want too much information, do you, really, honestly? Anyway, they get away from that part, and everyone starts chasing them.
Yes.
And then, as usual, there's going to be a big chase scene, is there?
Yes. Soon enough, Willie is saved by dear old Indy, and they collect the stones, and like always, Indy, being this good Samaritan, thinks about trying to save those poor kids from their mining experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
What if they're being paid?
No, I don't think so. I think they were slaves. Period.
Anyway, yeah. So what happens is
they go down to the mine, and Indy attacks the guards there, and
And the
Weena,
children revolt too. They start
yes,
throwing rocks at them and stuff.
yes,
Yeah, so
and
yeah.
Weena and Shorty
Excuse me.
round and Indy gets the keys and start releasing them all. And of course, the kids run freely out of the mine and out into the palace and out of the area.
To go home to their mothers and fathers.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
catch
then
up on 3
Indy
months worth of homework.
mostly. So anyway,
6 months?
Indy is still attacking that very big guard he
The huge
met
guard
earlier,
guy there.
who reminds me a little bit of the German guard that he fought in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sorry.
Yeah, big guy, solid guy, and Indy's losing.
Yes, this guy is huge, like big muscles, big build, all that
Big
stuff.
turban. Yeah,
Yes. Anyway, while Indy is trying his absolute hardest to fight him, the little Maharaja creep
Yeah,
kid,
little Maharaj guy's all, boys
he
as
takes
well.
out the voodoo
one of
doll
them.
and starts pounding it
A
Indy
little
in.
figurine of Indiana Jones. It's cute. I wonder if you can buy those.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think I
no.
want to. So anyway, short round, quickly knocks the kid out and tries to save Indy in his own way.
Yeah, and little boy wakes up from his little trance-like state and gives
Yeah.
him, tells him how to get out of there. Go down that thing there.
Yeah.
But take the left-hand path.
Yes.
Well, guess what, folks?
No, wait. I want to say what happens to the big guy.
Okay.
Soon enough, he knocks him completely out, and then he soon gets on this treadmill
It's conveyor belt.
conveyor belt, and he gets his cloth
He got
caught
a sash and he gets caught and he gets
it
dragged down.
slowly
It's a rock crushing thing, one of the big sort of stone wheel type
well,
things.
ended up
And
and
he becomes crushed.
yes, there's blood.
Minced.
In this scene, you don't see much of a dead body; you just see a lot of
Yeah,
blood.
a smear.
Yeah,
It's like a bug on a windscreen when you're driving down the road. You see splat.
yeah, and you get to see it on your windscreen
Anyway,
wiper.
let's get past
So-
that bit.
So anyway, Indy and the others escape in a mining what do they call those things?
what do you call it? One little those things that carry the dirt in the mine. I don't mine car. I don't know what to
Mine
call
cart or
Cart,
whatever,
yeah.
cart or whatever.
Yeah, one of those
So
things.
they get into
Yeah.
that, and as usual, Indy doesn't realize that he takes the wrong path.
Yeah, well, he goes to the right instead of left. And it's really funny. The left-hand path had a blue light on it, and the red one had a red light going into oblivion. Yeah, and guess what? They took the oblivion. Gee, it makes a good story, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Folks?
yeah. And let's see, Indy still doesn't trust the Maharaja kid for gosh knows reasons.
Well,
Now that that short round has cured him of his evilness.
whoa, he's very convincing. Very convincing, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, they're down there, and the other.
And this is my favourite scene because it reminds me of a Dreamworld ride down the Gold
Wasn't there a
Coast.
Seagull World ride called the something mine,
Yeah.
Red Rock Mine or something
Yeah.
or other, and that was similar going through a mine like
Well,
this.
that
in
was
little
what I was
cart,
just
yeah.
saying just now.
Yeah, Red Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was down at Seagull World.
Yeah.
You say Movie World.
Well, that's no, I said Dreamworld.
Well, Dream World, yes. I think it was Seagull World down in Sydney. Red Rock.
No.
They've got another one here, something canyon ride at Dream World.
Anyway, Seag World is no longer existing, so no
No,
point in
but that was
talking
fun,
about that.
That was fun though. We went there a couple times.
Yeah, we did. And anyway, so this ride is this ride is sort of fun.
That's great. Yeah.
Of course, the bad guys are one step behind them,
But anyway,
and
they get through there,
yeah.
and
And this is, meanwhile, while they go through all this tunnel stuff, the bad guys, they've already released a lot of water, and
To flood them out.
and flood them all out, hopefully like ants.
but the problem is that they were down the other end, and they went out through a hole in the wall, over a big canyon or a river canyon, and the water went past them, and somehow they escaped. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
actually see them how they escaped from that bit. It didn't look really good to me.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was
I would have
amusing.
died.
Yeah. Anyway, soon enough the brake doesn't work, and Indy has to use his own feet to stop the pedals from. I mean, stop the wheels from moving.
Yeah.
And of course, it causes his feet going on fire a bit. And
Yeah, and there's water, and then water came.
so anyway, the the water comes rushing in, and they all have to run ahead of the water.
And like I said, they'd run out through the hole in the wall and go straight past them. They don't get drowned.
A little bit.
But they don't. They get wet a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they got off that part because there's a little rock ledge and there was
Yeah, and not to
sheer
mention
wall.
the once the water start gushing out, some of the very ground they're on
Starts to break up
slowly
a little bit and
breaks
tumble-
up, and
yeah, stuff
and
and-
even
yeah.
Indy's path slowly kind of drops right off when he's
And-
saying head to the bridge, and then it
Well,
drops.
take a flight of stairs which aren't there. I just don't know how they got out of there.
Yeah, so they
Anyway.
soon arrive at the bridge, and while Short Round is saying, "Hey, it's a strong bridge, but it's not
It's
so
one of the old
strong."
rope bridges with the little wooden slats on it,
Yeah.
maybe 100 years old. The wood's rotten. Yeah.
Meaning it's not has been mended for the last few hundred years. Well, maybe not a few hundred years. Maybe not very long.
It gets repaired if someone falls through it. They put a new piece of wood in it.
Yes.
And it's a good location, a nice big river canyon, and there's stillish sort of waters down the bottom, and lots of crocodiles, which we're going to see very shortly.
Yeah, make a lot of friends that way.
Never smile at a crocodile. Whatever.
So anyway, Indy
Well,
meets
he
up with
knows
the two
smiling.
more thuggies, and they're wielding swords. And Indy realizes he has no gun, and he's left with his whip to fight them off.
Bugger.
And as usual, Indy's always outnumbered. So as he tries to chase after one of the thuggies, he then realizes, oh no, so many thuggies are coming at me. I run to the bridge.
Run
quickly.
for the hills. Run away from the hills. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, so Indy soon arrives at the bridge. He runs across it, and Willie and Short Round just reach the other end, but they meet with the thuggies and the head priest guy.
And anyway, there's a bit of a standoff there, and so Indiana.
Yeah, Indy's like
Um,
they're like trapped between.
he's in the middle of the bridge.
Yes.
And he's threatening, what's that, Mola, whatever his name, the head bad guy.
Yeah, he tries to do what I've discussed it with you earlier. His old poker face by saying, I'll drop the stones if you don't let her go. Let go.
And he said, well, we'll find the stones, but no one's going to find you, pretty much. So he says, okay. He figured a way, I'll break the bridge. So he cut it with the sword he had.
Yes. Before he could do that, Willie and Short Round go onto the bridge along with the priest.
And the priest thought he won't cut the bridge if his friends are on it.
Yes.
So Indiana told him to hang on, pretty much.
So he communicates this to Short Round in his Chinese.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes,
and he said, lady, we're going for a little ride. And
Willie knows the answer and feels less excited about the prospects of hanging on a broken bridge.
So, can tell you what, though, that was very effective.
It was effective.
Those crocodiles were so happy.
Yes, so
All
anyway.
these people fell in the river.
Yeah. So this was a good scene, and it's a bit of a mixture of
Anyway,
computer graphics and a bit of robotics and dummies that they used when they did the
he
scene.
cuts the bridge handrail and the whole bridge falls apart. That's a pretty sharp sword.
Yes, so it spins. The rope starts untwining, and the remaining sword thuggies fall into the water
It
and
was
get
raining
gobbled.
thuggies.
Yes, and gobbled up by those alligators or crocodiles.
They were well fed, little guys,
Yes,
weren't they? Yeah. Anyway, they
and-
got a few more later too.
Yes.
But anyway,
So while they were all there getting ready to start climbing, a few more thuggies fell off the bridge again because they haven't bothered to think about the possibility they're going to fall.
yeah, bugger.
Yes, so anyway, he faces off with the bad guy with, while he's at grips with his hand trying to grab his heart or trying to
Trying to kill him.
Kill
Yeah,
him.
Yeah. But anyway, they fight over the stones while they're hanging up on the
and-
remains of the bridge.
Yeah, and Indy invokes the Sheba to help him.
Yeah, he betrayed Sheba and stuff, and then these sacred stones start to get hot and burn the way out of his bag.
Yeah, and
Two fall into the river. One,
Was
this mole,
saved.
is not the bad guy's mole or whatever his name is,
Tries to grab it.
catch one, burns his hand a bit, and he drops it, and Indy catches it. I don't know why Indy didn't get a sore hand. Maybe
because I think Sheba sees him as
a good guy.
As a good guy, meaning
yeah.
Yes.
So Mole or Ram, isn't it? Mole or Ram. Mole or Ram. What a name. And he falls down and he becomes crocodile food.
yeah. So while he's being
Yeah.
gobbled up like in the crocodile, whatever.
He was dessert.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cavalry arrives
Oh.
and shoots the remaining thuggies.
Cavalry.
Arrive and
The
start
English
shooting,
army arrive.
and they soon arrive and shoot the remaining thuggies to death.
Yeah, they did, and
And-
captured the other ones or whatever. And whatever. No more thuggy cult. Oh, shame. Anyway,
yeah, soon enough, Indy gets off the bridge, and him and his companions head back to the village.
and they take Stone back there. And
Yeah,
and about
and-
the same time, the kids come home. He
Yeah,
brings a rock
and
in.
the interesting thing in this scene is that when they return, the place is
All nice and green
fruitful
and
again.
fruitful again. Because
Like,
he said,
meaning water, a lot of greenery.
as soon as
everything.
he got the stone, life started to come back to the village.
Yeah, that was
Isn't it
kinda-
lovely, folks?
Yes.
What sweet and nice
Yeah,
and warm
and of course the
fluffy
kids
and,
come
yeah.
back. They're greeted by their parents, quite cheerful
Like I
and
said,
happy.
3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of homework to catch up on, kids.
Oh, that's the least of their worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so anyway,
happily ever after's time.
yeah, and Willie
Ah.
remarked to Indy, he could have kept the stone, but he says it will just be another stone that's gathering dust in a museum somewhere. No care in the world, except for being another useless artifact to other people.
Just dust collectors, folks. Plenty of those in the old museums.
True. And Indy even remarked to the priest earlier that he understands its power now.
Power. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, but it was in the right hands by giving it back to the villagers.
Yeah. Actually,
Because it was in the right hands after all.
Right. Let's roll on to production and stuff.
Well, I want to get to the final scene where Willie and Indy are coming to
these people are getting ready for
their
bed.
final final kiss scene, and Willie is not too pleased that all this time she's been she's been on an airplane, crashed, it's been on an elephant, been harassed by the elephant, and
Almost executed.
and nearly executed, nearly burnt in a volcano, and being in a mine that meant that she was going to end up drowned, and
He certainly knows.
and on a bridge that could have ended up
He
collapsing and
certainly
killing
knows how
everyone.
to show a female a good time, guys. He certainly does.
Yeah, and as she walked away, hoping for a guide, he takes
He
out his whip and then.
Straight around the waist. Ooh.
Yeah,
He didn't hurt her though, No one
I
was
thought it was
hurt during the
kinda
making of the movie.
I thought it was kind of romantic and sexy.
Ooh, lucky
Anyway,
whip.
he pulls her close to him, and they're about to lock lips. But then, Short Round's little elephant gives him a squirt of water.
Yeah, and they still kiss.
Yes, and the kids cheer and say "Yay!" all that stuff, and that's we fade out obviously. So that's the end of the story. So let's discuss the development of the side to this.
Well, firstly, I'd like to mention there was, how to put it, a guy called Lawrence Kasdan, I believe, was supposed to write the script, and he didn't feel comfortable writing it because he didn't like the nature of the movie. He said it was too dark and whatever and blah blah. And so he dropped out, and they got a guy called Willard Huyck, Huyck, and Gloria Katz. They wrote the script for it. They took over that role as script writers for the screenplay. I think it came out pretty good. It came because they knew a little about Indian culture as well.
That's kind of nice.
And that's what came out in the script. I mean, it felt real. And that's I keep saying to Sarah, if you're going to make a movie, even if it's fictional, it's got to be real.
Yeah, I found out something interesting while they were filming the Temple of Doom. During the filming of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Steven Spielberg decided to pull a practical joke on Harrison Ford.
Oh, didn't know that.
So he got singer.
Barbara Streisand. Yeah.
Barbra
Streisand. Hello, Barb. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he gets the singer Barbara Streisand to dress up like a one of the bad guys and whips Harrison Ford.
Oh, nice.
And while he was tied to the rock, then Carrie Fisher runs in and tries to protect Harrison and gives him a kiss. Then the director...
What? I can't read upside down. What are you trying to show me?
And then the director
Irving Kershner, I think.
came in and says, "Steve, how can you let him do this?" And all ends with Barbara Streisand saying, "It felt like a."
Good idea, Tom? No. Oh, look, why don't you read your handwriting?
I felt like a.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't read your handwriting. Yeah.
I feel like a fag or something like that. I guess she.
Actually, I think it says faggot. I'm not really sure.
And I guess she felt really bad about what she did. Yeah, I don't know how Carrie Fisher was in this made an appearance. Came to this site. I always thought that
Well,
she.
they're both responsible for making Star Wars in this movie.
Yeah,
They've got access to all actors, haven't they?
I know, no. I always just thought that
Oh,
Harrison.
C-3PO got to come in there as well.
I always thought that Harrison and Carrie didn't have a good relationship, or
They didn't necessarily, but that doesn't mean George and Stephen didn't have a good sense of humour and borrowed it.
yeah. So it was a joke mostly. So
It were.
anyway, yeah. Even though this movie is still not a lot of people's favorite. I mean, not one of mine, obviously, but I didn't want to disappoint most of you guys for not reviewing this one.
Yeah, but actually, just moving on, there was a meal scene at the palace. We must get back on there because from what I understand is they had the main course. The courses came out something like they had what came out first?
The snake.
Okay, snake surprise. It was like a big python stuffed full of these
Don't
little
make
live
me
snakes
sick.
and whatever. You slice it open, these little wriggly things come out, and you pick them up and eat them whole. Anyway, that was one of the main courses. What was the other one? It had bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah, something about the size of a large bug, like a northern beetle type thing.
Yeah.
And it had been cooked. You take the tummy off there, and you suck the guts out of it like an oyster. And then the last course was chilled monkey brains.
No,
wasn't
wait,
it? Oh,
the soup.
no, that was another course. I mean, she asked that special.
Okay,
The last course was chilled monkey brains.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, Willie didn't like the main course or the dessert, so she asked for some soup. And she got the soup with eyeballs floating in it. Now, I understand that George and Stephen, even though they were mature adults, still had the childish, whimsical way about them. And I thought, how the hell can we gross people out during this scene? And that's how all these funny things came to be. Good one, George. Good one, Stephen. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember in a lot of when I was a lot younger that I thought for a while, do people really eat that stuff?
Quite possibly not as graphic as that. Now, look, anything that was alive, and I'm not talking about chilled monkey brains, whatever you like, generally you can eat if you prepare it right. In some ages and countries, they eat spiders. They'll eat locusts, cicadas, whatever you want to call them, whatever country you're in. Yeah, they eat bugs, they'll eat spiders, they'll eat dogs, they'll eat cats. It's whatever's alive, you can eat pretty much.
Yeah, I remember in a previous episode called a cartoon, just so you guys know, it's a spin-off. Arthur from the cartoon on ABC, the
Oh, the
Arthur.
aardvark guy,
Yeah.
Arthur the aardvark.
Yeah, he as a bit of a joke, well, not a joke actually. He had a pen pal in that sort of in Abyssinia or somewhere in the Middle East,
Yeah.
and Buster puts in his head that their lives would be a lot like in this spin-off of Indiana Jones comic they had. And he starts asking weird questions like, do you eat snakes? Do you guys live in a tent? Stuff like that, which I thought.
Actually, some people probably still live in tents over there. We were in the Sinai Peninsula, and there was I don't know if they were Bedouins or Nebateans or whatever. They're still living in tents.
I
there.
know,
Yeah,
Dad.
so-
I just meant
No,
that.
some areas might still use tents.
Yeah,
But,
I figured that. It's just that.
Not a silly question.
But he did ask a lot of weird questions,
Wouldn't
and
you go-
this
Can you
gave.
get cable TV out there though? No, probably not. No cable.
And the kid, of course, didn't was a little weirded out by the questions.
Yeah, it would be. But anyway, let's move on a tad a bit. Who wants to know about the cartoon?
Yeah.
But,
Just so you guys know, this years ago, this was probably my first of ever glimmer of Indiana Jones.
Oh
So
yeah, that's the first thing
because
when you were a child.
yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of got the first video from a special when we ordered it from McDonald's as a special family
Yeah,
deal
you can
offer.
buy it. Like you buy a meal, family meal, and you buy for $10 or whatever. You can buy the movie to watch while you're eating your food.
Yeah,
Yeah, a good promotional thing back in those days.
yeah, my one
Now
regret from that is that we never got Raiders of the Lost Ark or
we
the
have them
Last
now. Now
Crusades
can we move
years
on and
until
stop
years
talking about
later.
the food?
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Now, I mean, we're talking about the actual production. So this was supposed to be made, as far as I'm aware, in North India at a place called Amma Fort. But the government didn't like the script. They thought it was offensive and whatever, and they just didn't like it. They wanted to rewrite the script, and
I
so
can
as a
understand
result,
that.
the location work went to a place called Kandy in Sri Lanka, with matte paintings and a scale model of the village and different things, and the other filming was done in England at
The studio.
Elstree Studios. So you wouldn't know most of that stuff that we saw in the caves, probably inside the palace, tunnels. All that was actually done in the studio, and good photography. It felt like you're really in a cave system and whatever. Yeah, the special effects guys and these workers, great, good special effects.
Yeah.
Good sets.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. And I'm going to say this that, I mean, while this movie will never be one of my particular favorites, but I do think that it has a little bit of an interesting story.
It does.
And it has a good closer, as I often point to you guys before. I like a movie with a good closer.
Well, you got a good ending. I mean, we rewatched that last Star Wars movie there, and James Cameron didn't. We don't think he ended it properly. It just didn't
J.J.
work.
Abrams.
Abrams, sorry, wrong guy. J.J. Abrams did not finish the movie off properly. It's sort of like, oh, we killed the bad guys, did whatever, blah blah. What are we going to do now? I don't know. Oh, let's just have a quick party and say goodbye. That was it. A bit of a group hug, and it just felt so lame at the end of it. I mean, we're not talking about that movie now, but yeah, a good ending can really cap off a movie. And and I think Stephen and George get it right.
Yeah, I just don't know. If you were making a sequel, I know that there are a lot of people out there who keep thinking, I need to make a sequel to increase the audience. Why don't you just make a good closure and do not have to dwell on.
But yeah, but you make a good closer, which could lead on to a sequel. Like you look at the first Star Wars movie, which was Star Wars 4, The New Hope, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That had a good closing, but it left it open for a sequel.
Yeah.
And that's what you should do in all movies.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, not necessarily the sequel bit, but the good close. It's tie it up really nice. Everyone walks away saying, that was a good close. Warm and fluffy. No questions to be asked or say, hey, this, came together.
Yeah.
It's not like baking a cake. It ain't finished until you take it out of the oven, put it on the table and say,
Quite right.
So, and I don't think it got out of the oven.
Yeah.
The cake was made, but that last bit. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's move on a bit.
Yeah, well, I just like closer.
That's okay.
I
But
mean,
anyway, we're talking about closer. Now, a bit of trivia type stuff. The dress that Willie was wearing in the big production number at the beginning, there's two stories going around. Well, there is a story going around that it was only a one-of-a-kind dress. The dressmakers normally will make the original and a copy for a double and a spare just in case. But the story goes that there was only one dress, and they had that on site with them somewhere or other. This, I don't know why, it's hanging up to dry or was washed or something, but it was getting ready to be used on the opening shot, which was done actually at the end of the movie, at the end of the filming process. So, but while I was hanging up on the side of a tree, wherever it was, an elephant came over and started chewing on the dress. And it had to get some serious repairs done to it so she can use it in the opening scene of the movie. So, and there was an insurance claim put in for it. And so how did the dress get damaged? It says, it was eaten by an elephant. Now that would be the funniest thing you can put on an insurance claim form. Yeah, right. An elephant ate the dress. Come
And I
on.
suppose the
No,
dog ate your script.
yeah. Dog ate the homework of the script, whatever. And yeah. It's, it's dress eaten by elephant.
I bet they were laughing their heads off in the
That'd be
back home.
the guy looking at the claim would be staring in disbelief, going, "These guys for real?" But when you think they're on site out there in India, there are elephants around. Well, if you had a goat herd running around, a goat would have eaten it, you know. But
No
yeah,
doubt.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it is funny.
Yeah. So anyway, is there what else is do you have there, Mike?
Oh, I got a few other notes. I don't know whether we're going to go on too much. The production designer Norman Reynolds could not return for the Temple of Doom because of his commitment to Return to Oz and Labyrinth and a few things. And his mentor was hired, and he built the rope bridge and other things. And
That's nice.
so it was actually built. There wasn't actually an existing one.
I didn't think so because
Yeah.
at one point
Yeah.
they had some for a wide angle shot of that bridge. They had to you put some dummies on there and
Yeah, I
the,
know, but yeah, they could have made a dummy bridge up in smaller scale. But the actual bridge they were on was actually made. So yeah, and that would have been a big task. Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. So yeah, but here's something. During the filming, you're a bit further back when they were in the palace before they escape, when Indiana Jones was fighting the big guy who he killed before they went downstairs. He actually hurt himself.
What?
Indiana Jones hurt himself.
Really? Ouch.
He did, what was it? Spinal disc herniation, whatever that is.
Oh.
And he was in pain for quite a long time during the different scenes. And in the end, he was put in hospital and they suspended filming for a few weeks.
Oh, that must hurt.
Because
bad.
he said, I'm going to be on site, I'm going to do this. They got to a stage where they said, no, we'll call it quits, bung him in the hospital. And then what they did then is they got a stunt double to do the long shots for things he didn't have to be in.
Oh, that's
And
good.
they did those sorts of shots while he was in hospital recuperating.
That's a
And
relief.
they're lovely. They said, no, yeah, they what's the word I'm looking for? They went over budget, but they came in on time on the movie, which is good, coming on time. They went over budget by about 8 million, I think.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, where the
Yeah,
money
well,
comes
it's a lot,
from.
it's a lot bigger than most budgets I've looked at like these days.
Yeah, but the mine chase scene. That's something else that got here. There was a combination of a roller coaster ride and scale models of dolls in it, for the actors. I had some bit of stop motion stuff was done in there.
Cool.
A crew from Industrial Light and Magic were involved. George Lucas's guys were in there helping
No
out.
surprise.
Yeah, and Skywalker Sound was in there doing some stuff. So yeah, it's good to see the production companies and the backing stuff for both movies can bounce between the different things, because obviously the same producers, directors, and stuff. So yeah, and the story writers, and yeah, it's great. They work together quite nicely. It's good to have nice friends to help each other out too. Yeah.
True.
Yes.
Yes. That's how.
But I don't think I've got too much more to say on this one, and yeah, I'm pretty well wrapped in this.
Yeah. So, do you want to rate this movie now, Mike?
Oh, crikey! I can't say anything negative about the movie. I don't think they did anything wrong in it. I think they got the sequencing right. They got the continuity was good. The video was good. So the director of photography did a great job. The sound was great. Yeah, I think it all came together. It's going to be up around 9.5 to 10, like we did that there. Yeah, we don't normally do those, but yeah, the last couple of movies, we're picking some good movies, so they've got a rate of 10 sometimes.
Yeah. I think I rate mine a little lower than yours.
What didn't you like?
Well, just
You didn't like the chilled monkey brains.
no, I mean, it's as I said before, guys. It's not my favorite of all the Indiana Jones series or film franchise.
Trilogy, whatever, or quadruple, whatever.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say probably about
9.
8 out of 10. Sorry, guys.
Ooh,
I know it's
you're pretty hard. Anyway, that's good.
yeah.
That's
Well,
fine.
if I like the costuming and I like I like the props and the locations and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I'm gonna always be a little there's always something I don't really necessarily like about a film, but I just don't know if
It's, it doesn't what's the word? Doesn't get the juices flowing when you watch
yeah,
it. Yeah,
I
that's
just
what
don't
I
feel
go,
juice coming out.
yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does have a bit of
There's a lot of good stuff in it, but not enough.
yes.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, that's fine.
it has enough. I just don't really. I'm not exactly gonna rewatch this one over and over like I do with the other two.
Like, yeah. What was the one for the Ewoks in it? It's the Star Wars one. Not
Return of the Jedi.
This girl used to watch Return of the Jedi over and over
Hey, it's a
and
good
over
one.
and over. I got sick of it. And the same as were you watching Grease or was it Julie?
Julie.
Yeah, my other daughter Julie was watching Grease when we've got a copy of it. She watched it and watched it. I knew the movie word perfect, not just the songs, mind you. I knew the dialogue. I knew what they were going to say next. Just like people go there and watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show and they know the dialogue. I was like that with Grease. I was getting sick of the movie.
Yes. So now that
Nothing against John Travolta or Olivia Newton-John. They're wonderful people, but I'm not reviewing this. I'm just talking about you guys in general overwatching things sometimes.
yeah, well, hopefully your other door won't be listening.
Anyway, I think it's about time we finish. This one's gone a little bit over time. I mean,
Yes. So
yeah.
thanks again for listening to our podcast, guys. I'll talk to you guys later on. This is Sarah Stephenson saying, see you around.
Goodbye, folks.
Bye.